Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. It is the start of a new week and it is officially Cup Final week. This Sunday, 6 days time, Newcastle United will take on Manchester United in the Carabao Cup Final. 4:30 kickoff this Sunday at Wembley. Lots of Newcastle fans booking out all of the pubs all around Newcastle city centre. Loads of Newcastle fans heading down to Wembley without a ticket. Loads of Newcastle fans heading down to Wembley with a ticket. Regardless of what you're doing, we are praying that we can lift our first trophy in a long time. It's been 24 years since we last were in a final. It's been even longer since we last won a trophy. And the hype starts now. The build-up starts today as we now have nothing else in between now and Sunday when we walk out onto that Wembley turf and hopefully walk off with a cup. There'll be loads of eyes on one man this weekend. Well, two men, one of which will be Bruno Guimaraes. He will be back in action for Newcastle this weekend. Thank God, following his 3-game ban. Following the game against Liverpool at the weekend, there'll also be a lot of eyes on Loris Karius. Loads of people talking about the redemption of Loris Karius, best known by a lot of people for his last cup final performance where he wasn't great for Liverpool. Is it his chance to redeem himself in a cup final? Can he carry us to a cup win? Sorry, that wasn't terrible. But yeah, loads of eyes on him, and we will talk a lot about him and Bruno in this video. I do want to start off by talking a little bit about the Liverpool game. I've mentioned the fact that from now till Sunday, it's all Wembley. It's all talk of Wembley. Really, since we got to the final, it's been in the back of everybody's heads. It's been quite tough to concentrate on the last 3 games. Since we got through in the semi-final against Southampton, the atmosphere, the joy from that game, you know, I think Eddie Howe was right that it was an emotional time in that semi-final. I'm really hoping that for the final, Eddie Howe can keep everybody's level head going in there. I think, you know, in the semi, some emotion did show. I saw, you know, people like Dan Burn were getting a little bit sloppy, kicking the ball out because we're so close. And then, you know, Bruno getting himself a red card. You know, Bruno, Joe Linton, some of these guys are very emotional players. And that's why I think they connect so well to the fan base, because you can see how much it matters to them. When Sean Longstaff scored and he's, you know, tearing his shirt off, was incredible. You know, I really need Eddie Howe for the final to just, because you can use that emotion in a good way. You can use it to power yourself. You just don't want to edge over the line where it's too much. But we'll leave that to Eddie Howe. But as I've mentioned, the games previous, concentrate on the games ahead of you. Concentrate on the Liverpool game at the weekend. But still in the back of your head, you're thinking, if we can just come out of this, play well, no injuries, no red cards, we can then take it into Wembley. And, you know, maybe in terms of the performance, we started well. You know, I said in my reaction video that I felt like Liverpool took the foot off the gas. They actually didn't. I watched the game back since the weekend, and Liverpool was still going for it. You know, we had chances, and that's unfortunately been the story for us in the last few games, is not putting the ball away when we have the chance. You know, Almiron's shot where Alisson's just reaction to just put his hand there and save it. You know, on a different day when Miggy's firing on all cylinders, I think he puts it in the net, but it's not to take away from the fact that it was a crazy good save. Wilson, with his chance, you know, if he puts that in, and then, you know, by the time it was 10 minutes to go, we were all over them. And you could tell, you know, the way Klopp was talking in his post-match interviews was that he was a bit worried as well that we could have got back into it. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So, yes, big positives to take away are that we did fight back. We did create chances. On a different day, even with 10 men, maybe we could have grabbed something from that game. But what I said in my reaction video, and I stand by it, is that the big talking news is Nick Pope getting sent off in that game. It's a huge blow for us, and that's why the big talking point is Loris Karius, because somebody needs to come and play in net, and I'm hoping that he will be the man who can take us through and put in a good performance for this final. I thought the goals that Liverpool scored were actually very disappointing. Trippier, normally, someone who is so good, like elite player, like top 4 player, switched off. And the ball's gone through. Obviously, I could give a bit of blame for Shaw as well there, but 2 goals really where they've just pumped it over the top and he's just ran through and scored. You talk about where was the communication there, where was the understanding there, and I think that's one of the big things with Pope not being available for this game is, yes, he's a great shot stopper, but it's the back 5, if you will, Burn, Shaw, Botman, Trippier, Pope. There's that understanding, there's that communication, and to now not have that going into the final it ain't great. Let's be honest, that's the best way I can put it. As I say, I'm going to remain positive. It's a big week. There's a lot to be excited for. I'm one of the lucky few who've got tickets, who are going down there. We'll be in Trafalgar Square on the Saturday. We'll be there for the final on the Sunday, so be sure to subscribe and watch out for those videos at the weekend. But yeah, having your number 1 goalie, and you talk about signings in the summer. Pope, one of the best. When Pope got brought in, is he better than Dubravka? Is he not better than Dubravka? He's been incredible. And for the price we paid for him has been elite. But there will be no Pope, and it will be Loris Karius. And there's a lot of talk on Karius, a lot of quite excited talk about Karius. I think you talk about the magic of the cup, and what sometimes in these cup games can bring out scenarios that maybe you didn't plan for, you didn't expect, and sometimes they go exactly the way you want to go. I mean, on paper, we're bringing Karius in out of the cold. He hasn't played a game for us, other than when he did play against Al Hilal in the friendly, where he actually played pretty well and made a couple of good saves in that game. There's a lot of hope for Karius, is what I'd say. It's a chance for him where a lot of people, do remember him for that Liverpool Cup final. Is this his chance to come out and put in a real Cup final performance out the cold? No one's seen him in ages. He comes out there and does the business, and it's a bit of a fairy tale, but it's kind of bringing a bit more excitement to what could happen. As I've said, the Pope ain't good, but you've got to make the best of the situation you've got, which I think is why so many Newcastle fans are really kind of hyping this Karius story. And he's, from what I've seen, he's always smiling. He seems like a lovely bloke as well. And even Liverpool fans were commenting on my last video saying, even for them, since Karius had that game, and it's understood, that he had a concussion in that game, and it wasn't just that he messed up. There was quite a lot going on there. Liverpool fans who have, since then, I'm sure at the time they weren't wishing this for him, but since then have gone on to, win a final, and now are looking back on it and going, we would like to see him have a good one as well. We also have to think about the fact that Manchester United are playing quite good at the moment. Rashford seems to be on, the best form he's been on in a very long time, and I do not think it's going to be an easy game. But I think the hype and the hope for Newcastle is high. We're coming off the back of really 3 games. Only our second loss in the Premier League this season, both against Liverpool. Prior to that, we'd been unbeaten in 17 games in the Premier League. So as much as we're kind of, going into the final, you want to be really up there, like as high as you can be, which I feel like Manchester United are a little bit. We're kind of coming off a couple of results that maybe we could have done better in. But get your head switched on, lads. Let's head into Wembley this Sunday. The Jordan Nation will be behind you. The war flags will be out. And hopefully, with the return of someone like Bruno, that will really be the big boost in the dressing room that I think a lot of players are going to need. Because I do think, West Ham, Bournemouth especially, looking around going, is Bruno going to pull us out of this one? He will be there. And I think for the dressing room, yes, the loss of Pope will be big, but hopefully the hope for Karius to do well and the hope of having your best player back. You know, any team in Europe without their best player will not be as good. And that's how we were in the last few. Bruno's back. The confidence will hopefully be high. And we can get this hype started this week for Wembley. Loads of videos coming this week. Let me know your thoughts on the game down below. Really, I'll be back later on this week to do a full preview on what we expect from Manchester United, what we hope to see from Newcastle. So again, if you're not subscribed, hit the button. Loads of videos this week. I'm hoping to do some Wembley stuff as well, which should be good. And I have just hit 40,000 subscribers as well. So I do have my big 40k special planned. To be honest, I'm tempted to hold off until the final because there's so many videos planned this week. But it's going to be good. Alright guys, let me know how you're feeling, what your thoughts are, coming out the weekend, into the new week. You know, it's strange because we have just lost, but I'm so excited. So, yeah, let me know how you're feeling. Karius, Bruno, let me know your thoughts on them too. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.